The busy group.
Yeah, exactly.
We need it as preparation for a discussion with you.
Good.
How did it go? How was your day?
And how about you? How is it going?
So, John, do you understand us here? So, because the microphone is here and you're on the big screen, so everybody's watching you on the big screen.
That's great. And I see the side, I see everyone's profile.
So, can someone please Twitter his image so he can see what's the situation here?
Oh yeah, one of the, thank you, whoever did the cartoon of me, Michael posted it on Twitter. Is that you, Stina?
No.
Because I'm looking more and more like a light bulb.
I know that you are not that fat.
Okay.
Sorry for that.
Let's start. John, we collected some questions for you because you are there. If you are there, we want to ask you questions or discuss with you some things. And at first, nobody dared to write a question here, but now we have a very full board here, right on my left side. And I would say let's start from the top. Who has the first question? It's about Wall S. So who has the question?
What is Wall S?
Yeah, and what is Wall SC? But the people want to know who wrote the question. Yeah. Okay, so ask the question. So
what is the current status about Wall SC? And what is the current status?
And what's your name?
Susan.
Susan.
Hi.
Well, first, thank you for asking that. And look, before you even start, this is a little bit of a miracle, right? Not just that the technology worked, but that each of us in our own way really is trying to make the world a better place. And there's no better, it's not like, oh, you know, John does this, Sabine does that, Susan does that. It's not a competition. It is if you can help 5, 10, 50 people at your company, that's great. So to your question. Alexander, is the audio okay?
Yeah, it's okay. We can hear you very clear and we can see you very clearly. And it's great to see New York City in the background.
That's the World Trade Center. Wait, there's Goldman Sachs. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of context because not everyone knows what working on a SC is. The SC stands for self-care. And, you know, originally, I just thought, I was just trying to help myself get a bit more control over my career life, right? Like, that was really my first goal, because amidst the big corporate machine, it didn't feel good, and I could quickly see I was playing career roulette. Over time, I said, well, okay, I've stumbled into some way that I think make me a better employee and makes me feel better, makes me more effective, earns access to opportunities, all of that. And that led to working out loud. But that feels like a start. And what I aspire to do is to create a family of practices. So they won't all be circles, they won't all be 12 weeks, they'll be different, but the principles are the same, which is there's a lot of wisdom out there, some of it ancient, some of it new, about how to be a more productive, happier, kinder person. And could we help people put this wisdom that's in all the books, could we help them put it into practice until it becomes a habit, until it becomes a new norm. So if you think of our mission of Working Out Loud, which is to change how we relate to ourselves, to each other, to the work that we do, that first practice is about the middle part. It changes how people in the workplace relate to each other. But some of you, and you may have had this yourself, or you've heard it from other people, yeah, as an individual, I discovered something about myself, or I feel more empowered, or I feel like I have something to say. And Working Out Loud self-care is a practice that allows you to go deeper into that, deeper into kind of your own thinking, your own labels, your own judgments. You might even call it mindfulness of a kind, but it's all based on ancient and modern wisdom, and I wanted to give people exposure to it. So that's what Working Out Loud self-care is. They're all 5 different practices that I found personally helpful. The status is that we've been piloting it, version 1, with about 100 people, and it feels to me, we're almost ending, it feels to me that I got it maybe 50% right, maybe. And I'm going to publish version 2 on the website as just free guides, probably in April or latest May. Wow. And like the first practice, I will keep evolving that until it stabilizes. But the main point is that it gives people exposure to a set of practices that can give them clarity and confidence and calm. That I think we can all use.
Wow, thank you. Great news.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan.
So, let's move on to the next question.
My answer will be shorter, I promise.
Yeah, we thought about recording that session, but we didn't know how to, so maybe you can record a shorter version and publish it.
Okay, that's what you need. Yeah.
Okay, next question. A wall for students. Who raised that question? Okay,
I made
you.
it. Hi, John. Here's Ling.
Hi.
Hi. Well, I'm a master student at the university in Berlin, and I just get to know world through my company. I'm also working for a company here, and I just wondering if there's any success story about world for students at the universities, and that you can share with us or share with me, because I maybe really want to bring world to my university for all the other students maybe. And do you also have any tips for us or for me? Yeah.
And your first name is Ling?
Yes.
Oh, hi Ling, thank you for that. Short answer is no, but I would like there to be. So, there's I really will try to make this shorter. So, what's happening now is that Working Out Loud is a very, very basic skill. And what's happening is that you're finding it applies in a lot of different contexts or environments. So one of those would be students. So you're at university and you're not sure what your job might be, what might be just for you, what you might like, what you might be good at. And so you could think of Working Out Loud or your circle as a way to explore the career space. Because for most of us, we only have this very narrow idea. Like when I was a kid, I was going to be, I was going to dig up dinosaur bones or be an astronaut. There were 7 jobs when I was a kid. Now 7 million, and it's impossible to navigate as a young person. So there's a woman at the University of Florida that we're thinking about doing an experiment specifically for students. This is not a new idea. There are people. There's a great book called Designing Your Life, which is applying design thinking to career decisions. So I totally recommend that. But working out loud for students would be another approach. But if you're interested, wouldn't it be fun to do an experiment with Berlin and Florida?
Will do. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's great.
Thank you. Wall events in companies. Who raised that question?
That was me. Hi, John. It's Andrea.
Oh,
Hello. I wanted to ask you, do you have any tips for holding working out loud events in companies, like for people to experience working out loud? I mean, we saw you doing it at an event last year, so you just went through the first couple of weeks. Any other tips that you can give us? Like what's important to keep in mind when holding an event?
I'd hire Sabina. Yes. So sorry. Yes. Here's when it doesn't work. When it doesn't work, so two tips. Because I've done a bunch of these, and sometimes it does not work. And and it doesn't feel great when it doesn't. But what I've learned is two things. There's a difference between preaching to the early adopters, which is kind of like this event, which might be at an innovation event or at a career event. Right? There are certain audiences where they already believe what you believe, and they're just looking for a way to put it into practice, to do something. That you could do what I did. There's that mentor training program, those kind of talk and workshop. Perfect. Right. That works. What I suggest you be careful of is when you're in a different kind of room, and they say, "Oh, Andrea, come to our management meeting and tell us about this working out loud thing." The same recipe doesn't work. Instead, what you have to do is think of who's in that room, what problems will they recognize, and start with that. Because they don't care about working out loud. And they don't care about you or new work or digital transformation or anything. What that room is, you want to think, okay, I begin with, here are things that they already care about, and then I'm just going to, instead of me selling working out loud, instead of working out loud being the goal or the mean, it's going to be the means. It's going to be in service of a challenge that they already recognize. And that's what makes it a contribution as opposed to you trying to convince them. So my one tip would be mindful of who your audience is. If it's the tribe, then the talk and workshop that's online work goodly. They work well. And if it's not the tribe, if it's somebody else, I'd say get help, because either people in that room or people at other companies or myself or Sabina, we've been in the room that we could say, here's how you would frame it for that particular kind of work. Does that make sense to you?
It does. Thanks a lot, John.
Oh, thank you.
So we're not at the end, John. So still questions left.
You got blue. I got all day. Good. Yeah.
So what happens if we don't make any progress? Who raised that question? Okay.
Hi, John. This is Olaf.
Hey, nice to see you.
If the whole progress is in stuck, in company, in circle, and with me, what then?
Funny enough, I've had this experience. I'm at Deutsche Bank, and I am convinced that what I'm doing is helpful for other people. But I wasn't making much of a dent. And a long time ago, I wrote a blog post that said, if you're trying to change the way your company works, you probably won't. And people thought I was depressed. but I wasn't depressed. I was aware that it just may not be the right time or the right place. And it's not about you. So I may want to change the bank, or I may, whatever your company is, look, Deutsche Bank had all sorts of issues. It still does. And there were some bad people, and it's not criticism. It just that there wasn't enough attention, energy to take on yet one more thing. And that's okay. So here's what I do. When I'm in that situation, I relax a little bit. Instead of pressing harder, I lead by example. I try to find a few people, maybe a small group, that might be interested. If you're a big company, if you're Bosch, if you get 0.0001%, that's still 400 people. And you look for those. And maybe that's all you could do. That's okay. It's better than zero. It's better than what most people do. So I know that's not maybe the answer you want to hear, but I guess all of us are trying, and that's what I said at the beginning, we're all trying to make the world a better place. The world may not respond the way we want it to, and we just have to kind of go with that. Maybe that means you do it outside of work. Maybe that means you start to bring in other people into your company, and that's what. Maybe you need to just help a handful. I don't know. Maybe just help yourself. Any progress is good.
Does that make you happy? Okay, John. Now the next thing, that's really a management question. How to measure working out loud activities and success. So who raised that KPI question?
Hi, John. I'm Annika. I'm working for Deutsche Bahn, the very reliable transportation company. It can be measured. So basically, my goal is to further push working out loud into our company. And as we are Germans, we want to measure, and the management ask, what does working out loud do for us? Do you have any numbers of circles? Do you have any other KPIs? Do you have advice for us on that matter? Yeah?
First, it's a very reasonable question. So I don't resist managers or anyone's urge to measure the value or success or activity. It's perfectly reasonable. One, so embrace it as opposed to something else. Two, here's what I suggest. The best practice right now, so that there are a number of different ways to measure, but we're going to start with the simplest. The simplest is that what the other companies do is they tend to do a structured survey of participants, and it's a survey that will make freely available. I'll put it in the library. And they ask them a basic question. Did this help you with your daily work? Did this help you develop skills that were valuable? Is this in line with the company's goal? Would you recommend it to a friend? How does it compare to traditional training? Like questions like that. Now, I'm not suggesting that's not going to satisfy them, but it's better than zero. And it tells you, oh, okay, people seem to like it, and it seems to help them with their work, so okay, that will buy you some goodwill or some support. And what I would do after that, they started to do this at Bosch, it's key because of the data, but certain things they measured, one of their goals was to use Bosch Connect more. And so they could measure activity online. I'm not crazy about that, but that particular goal, that's a useful measure. It says, people are more comfortable with the digital tools that we're investing in if they're in a circle versus if they're not. I think what I'd like to see in the future, and this might be an experiment that you do. So Cutterton is doing an experiment in a factory in Nuremberg. So they make pumps for trucks, like something like that. What I would love to see is to do, to over time, to track, let's say, quality improvements, right? Or sick days, right? Or any other kind of things that they normally look at, and to see after a certain number of people have gone through circles, have any of those KPIs changed? Because I suspect they will. And that's, for that kind of data, we're still in the experimental stage, but that's an experiment I can imagine you doing with people, in operational jobs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sounds great. And maybe while you were talking, I just came up with the idea that we should inter-exchange, like the big companies, on the matter how to measure and how working out loud changes company culture. And yeah, because we all have the same questions, and at one point I need to justify why I want to be a mentor coach for working out loud. So yeah, cool. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, you're welcome. Again, I think the KPI question or KPI answer is a work in progress. Surveys on the current best practice, and then I think you can get to hard data, but that's going to require more experiments and exchange.
Cool, thanks.
Great. So I think everybody has that question in his neck in corporates, and so I think we should connect all about this question. So thank you. Okay, next question. You have a question.
Yeah, John, that's Peter.
The famous Peter, doctor.
Thank you. That's remarkably. John, one question. I have seen on the website there is a list of countries in which working out loud is already, let me say, in place or circles are there. I was surprised about the huge number of different companies. Nevertheless, operating here in German or German-speaking countries, the impression is it's somehow a topic here in the German-speaking community. Right. And obviously it has to do with a certain culture whatsoever. Now, as you have visited other countries and also companies, what do you think is the key reason why it is so popular or well perceived, I would say, in the German community?
I don't. Thank you. So all I have is a common sense theory. I actually don't think it's cultural, because if we reach 1%, the real outliers, the crazy ones in China, right? If that's all we reach, 2 standard deviations away, 3 standard deviations away, it's 13 million people. Right. So there's even given cultural differences, and there are some, there's enough of an overlap across countries that there are plenty of people to reach. The reason why I think it's visible in Germany, I think it has more to do with how ideas spread, and they spread via social networks. So the first company to embrace working out loud was Bosch. Welch, they told their friend, literally they introduced me to Daimler and BMW and Microsoft. And so I think this may be my optimism. I think it as first, not as the only. That's it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see if that's right. But just this morning, for example, I was on the phone with people in the UK. I was on the phone in California with somebody at the university there. It's the same challenges, the same issues. Now we see now I know a number of you are from Switzerland. Earlier today, I'm going to go back to Shanghai, I think, later this year. I think it's a matter of time as opposed to culture.
Okay. Thanks.
Thumbs.
But you remember, John, we discussed that question because I always think about the same question. Why is it so successful in Germany? And when we were at the social business conference in Copenhagen, where people from Norway and Sweden were, they said they're working out loud. Why? We are working out loud since years, so I think there is a cultural thing too. So I think it's a matter of culture. But
also, I think, I mean, every one of us is at least partly very active on LinkedIn, for example. So we have other people outside of the German-speaking community, and for them it's like, what's that? So,
okay, so thank you for your thoughts. Any other? John? If you want to add something?
I promise I will try to change that.
Okay. Any other questions to John? This is a window of opportunity now. He's still there.
Although they know they could, or you know you can reach me anytime. For anyone who's in the room, I'm thrilled that you're there. And we're all trying to do the same thing. So whatever your challenge, issue, idea, question, my contact me anytime.
Okay, we know. So yeah, thank you, John. Thank you, John.
So
Just say thank you, and we wave now a big hello. So have a great day in that New York City, the city of our dreams. We will visit you soon. So we're going now back to our snowy, cold, foggy Berlin. So it's really not the place to be at this time of the year, but we expect you to be here sometime this year. That would be great.
Absolutely.
So,
Bye.
goodbye.
bye, John.